Hey all, and welcome back to another CEO on the Lobster. Janine's away for the next few weeks, which means I've got no filter.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the
Everybody
procedure,
stay calm.
everyone? What's the procedure?
We haven't settled exactly on a name for these segments, but we're considering Lobster After Dark, or Lobster Unfiltered, or my personal favorite, Lobster Uncooked and Uncut. And yeah, we're just trying something new while Janine's away. Let us know if you like it or not. This is going to be a bit different to most of our normal episodes. Still, the disclaimer applies, not financial advice. But what I wanted to talk to you today, and have a more discussion than anything, this isn't going to be, I think this or I think that. It's about the role of whales in this space. We'd already recorded a video for this week. However, the events of today, Friday, the 18th of August, the markets have dropped about 10% because of the actions of a single whale. That, in combination with two other whales moving, have just shown their influence in the market recently, and I just wanted to have a discussion about that. So the first one being MicroStrategy. They've done a raise in the hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to buy more Bitcoin. Tether, the USDT stablecoin issuing company, is now the 11th largest holder of BTC now. And I just wanted to kind of bring how they affect the markets to light. And it's not necessarily saying they're good, or it's not necessarily saying that they're bad, but it's just something I feel like we should consider more. Specifically, what I want to talk to you about today is how this relates to mainstream adoption. Generally speaking, mainstream adoption is considered the endpoint that us that work in this space are working towards. However, one of the considerations I don't think that's put enough towards mainstream adoption is how it will affect how we use these cryptocurrencies. Mainstream adoption means large, centralized players, big existing traditional finance and governments moving into this space, and how it will change this space. These are organizations that operate in a very particular way, and will have expectations that they will likely be able to impose on how they at least operate in this space. And I just think that that's something that's probably not given enough thought to when we talk about mainstream adoption. Is mainstream adoption by whom? Are we talking about by individuals, or are we talking about individuals via the use of large centralized entities? The couple of types of whales that I really want to focus in on today are threefold. First of all, there's the influential whales, and I'm not necessarily meaning in terms of an influencer on crypto Twitter. I'm more talking about people that have a disproportionate effect on the actual underlying infrastructure that we use. We're talking about groups like Blockspace that happened during the Bitcoin wars. And then more recently, and this is actually a really interesting question, is with ETH and its transition to proof of stake. One of the main criticisms that's given to this network, which I, even as a fanboy, I think is quite legitimate, is now that it's moved to proof of stake, it's kind of locked in the influence and the position through the amounts that certain parties can stake and consistently stake. When I say stake, I mean they have decisions on which blocks get approved, how they get approved. They do have to provide infrastructure, they do have to provide continued resources. But this is, at least in some ways, tied to the amounts that they can stake. And because these early investors, these early adopters, these early founders got in at the base level and were able to purchase tens, if not hundreds or millions of Ethereum, their position is very interesting. It's very expensive to change that. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, and that's kind of what I wanted to highlight in this piece. When we talk about like mainstream adoption, this adoption by whales, well, are early whales potentially a good thing because they built this space with certain high-minded ideals in there, which means that if their positions are really hard to unentrench, it might mean that TradFi moving into this space won't be able to have the influence on it that it would potentially like. That's one type of whale that I think we should probably give a bit more consideration to, e.g. the who is Satoshi. What happens if he came out of the woodwork and said, I believe that we should do this. The second one I want to talk about is whales and price. And this is actually the most studied one, but also the least interesting one, in my opinion. It's people that can make big trades and sales. I don't actually think there's a lot we can do about this one because if somebody has more of something, they have more resources, they can act on it more. And I'm actually more or less going to skip over this one. The third one, sorry, I should say, that I wanted to talk about, just like highlight, is developer whales. I read a really, really interesting article this week that I'm going to link below that I think most people in the crypto space should actually read. And it's called Crypto Theatre is Becoming More Surreal. It was an opinion piece by Camilla Rosso. For those who don't know who that is, they're the founder of Define, a really, really, really good crypto resource that I would recommend everyone looks at. And also the author of another fantastic book, The Infinite Machine, or How an Army of Crypto Hackers is Building the Next Internet with Ethereum. Would highly recommend it. And they talked about the roles that developers play in this space. They are whales in a way that we probably don't consider, that they have disproportionate influence on the products that we use, on the prices that we pay. If Uniswap wanted to change how their protocol worked, they could do so. If Binance wanted to change how their protocol worked, they could do so. But then this also applies to the smaller projects about people building in this space. And let's be clear, they're called developers because they want to develop and grow this space. They want what's best for this space, but their interests aren't necessarily aligned with what our interests are. More and more we've seen crypto projects implement what we would call as God mode or backdoors. And there are reasons for this. There are genuine benefits for this. It's something that we've seen time and time happen because it's often necessary in a lot of situations. And I don't think we should stop doing that. I don't want to say that any of these individuals are inherently good or they're inherently bad, but I actually just wanted to take this week as an excuse to talk about something that we probably don't talk enough about in this space. And if your opinion is that whales aren't necessarily the best thing for this space, then there's actually one really clear piece of action that I'd recommend. And that's to get involved with your local crypto communities. Go to your crypto meetups. We talked to Harry Satoshi last week. You could argue he's a whale. He has a lot more influence than a normal person. However, different scales when we're talking about like MicroStrategy, right? Just not the same thing. But by getting involved in your local group, by making it peer-to-peer, by making it decentralized and away from these big centralized entities, that is potentially a way that we can like foster this crypto community. If you think whales are good things, that's also great. I just kind of wanted to talk about this. There's no real actions, there's no real learnings from this week. Yeah, I just wanted to kind of bring this issue to light and link that article below because I think it's something we should all look at and consider. Till next week, thank you again for watching. If you guys have any video suggestions, let us know. We're going to do this for about 3-4 weeks, so excuse to offer some really random ideas that you just want us to talk about. We might even do a live stream at some point, but let us know. Until next time though, thank you very much for watching. Cheers.